Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to week 6 of our English 101 class. That's exciting. We're in 6 already. Uh, our family has had strep throat for the last like 3 or 4 days, so things have been exciting here, but we're all on antibiotics, and all the children are home. So if there's weird noises in the background, that is what is happening. Um, Hopefully, we can get through this without any child crisis. So this week, we are working on constructing our trial by media essay. Woohoo! As we talked about last week, this is on an accelerated timeline uh, because many assignments we have to write in the academic setting will be on accelerated timelines. It's nice, like in Project One, where we can take time to slow down and really pull each of the pieces together of our essay. But um, that's not always reality. So I want to give us a chance to practice um, faster writing skills in this context. So we will be writing on that accelerated timeline of 2 weeks instead of the 4 weeks that we had for the last essay. When we work on Project 3, we'll go back to that slower process so that we can really dig into the research and really use our critical thinking skills to evaluate sources and incorporate that source material in a really effective way in an argument essay. Um, so this week we are building all our ideas for Project 2. So we're going to start with looking at our recorded lecture on logical fallacies. This is one of those elements you're going to want to pull into your essay as you've selected your case and you're looking at it. You want to see how the media is covering the case itself, the process, how that coverage might have impacted a jury pool, right? Because we were talking about the Sixth Amendment, we're talking about how we're supposed to constitutionally have the right to a fair trial with an unbiased jury. And we're talking about how can you possibly have an unbiased jury if we're inundated with all this information before the jury is even picked. So they've got these preconceived notions of the case before they've even gone into the courtroom, before they've been selected, before they've been given the evidence that the process says is legitimate, credible evidence on which they're meant to base their decision. So that can be problematic when we have this flood of information coming in from all sides, whether it's a 24-hour news cycle on TV or TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or Reddit or any of the other places you get information online, or your local newspapers, magazine headlines, you name it. We have this constant bombardment of information that is essentially probably creating some difficulties in getting an unbiased jury if it's a high profile case. Like many of you talked about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case in your cases under consideration. We all heard about that case so many times, right? And so really difficult to get an unbiased jury if you've got everybody talking about how one party is crazier than the other party, and people were picking sides before any credible evidence came out, all of that stuff. If you remember back, I think it was last year, there was the big case of the multiple murders that happened um, with the WSU University of Idaho students there, where they got the guy. And how are you going to have an unbiased jury if everyone locally that you're pulling from the jury pool has been following this case of these college students who were brutally murdered in their home by this crazy guy who wanted to like be a master villain or something? Like, clearly I have feelings about it. I didn't see any of the case information. I wasn't picked on the jury. I haven't seen the credible evidence, but I saw all the news stories, and I definitely think that psychopath killed them, right? Because I've had all this information, so now I have these preconceived notions. I would be a problematic jury member, right? So we're going to be looking at how these cases were covered, what kind of media attention they got, and whether the Sixth Amendment was violated. And logical fallacies is a good way to kind of start to evaluate the information you're getting, whether it's credible, and whether it could be potentially biasing in tone. So when we work on this essay, we're going to be breaking down all that coverage and the judicial process, looking at word choice bias, which we talked about in the lecture, so make sure to watch that. Information bias, which we also talked about in the recorded lecture last week. So if you haven't watched that, make sure to watch that because that's going to be in your essay. and logical fallacies, which you're watching today and which will also be in your essay. So make sure that you are paying attention to all of those things as you are constructing your ideas and working on your essay. So you're going to be watching the logical fallacies recorded lecture today. You're going to be working on drafting your essay, writing it. You've already done the outline, you've already done the thesis. Now it's time to take it from outline to essay. So work on writing that today and tomorrow. We're going to be having a peer review on the 25th. For this peer review, I want at least 3 full paragraphs. So I want the intro, I want the case summary, and I want your first paragraph of analysis, which will probably be word choice bias analysis. So 3 paragraphs minimum, and they should still be all formatted in MLA style, even if the essay is not complete. So minimum of 3 full paragraphs by the 25th. You're going to do that peer review, you're going to work on your essay some more, and then you're going to do a second peer review on the 27th. For that one, you need to have the entire essay written. So the whole thing needs to be done because you're going to be peer reviewing that on the 27th, and you are turning in that final draft on Monday, 1 week from today. So if you are someone who you know writing takes you a while, break it down. Don't wait until the last minute with a blank piece of paper. That is intrinsically anxiety inducing. But if you write 1 paragraph today, try and write the intro today. Try and write your case summary paragraph on Tuesday. Wednesday, do the word choice bias paragraph. Thursday, do the information bias paragraph. Friday, do the logical fallacies paragraph. Saturday, you write your takeaways and your conclusion. You edit on Sunday, and then you've got your essay all ready by Monday without it being this terrifying giant thing. Then you just have to do 1 paragraph a day and then get some edits done. You can also take this essay to the Writing Center. I would highly recommend that you schedule an appointment for the Writing Center so that you ensure that someone's available and that they can spend that whole chunk of time with you. They do drop-in appointments, which is great, but there's not a guarantee that anyone will be available or for how long they will be available in a drop-in appointment. So it really is best to make those appointments scheduled, and I've got all that information in our modules folder. So if you go to the modules right here, and then you go to the e-tutoring extra credit stuff, here's a recorded lecture that shows you how to use the Writing Center. If you haven't used it yet, this also explains how to get extra credit. So watch that, it will help you out, and then sign up for a session. And as always, all the stuff you need for Project 2 is here. We've got our recorded lecture Frame Justice. If you haven't watched that, please watch it. And then we've got our essay outline walkthrough as well as our research walkthrough. So make sure that you are watching those because they will help your essay be successful in very, very tangible ways. So please make sure you are watching our recorded lecture videos. They are important. And then because this essay is on an accelerated timeline, I do have some sample essays for you. These are not perfect essays by any means, but they are essays that did a pretty good job of following the prompt, following the outline, incorporating sources, and hitting many of the points that we tend to struggle with on essays, like transitions or citations or format or thesis statements or using supportive details in a quote sandwich, those kind of things. So check out those essays if you want a little inspiration. And then as I'm grading through your Project 1 essays, I'm hoping to have those done by the end, no later than the end of this week. I've got a resource on signal phrases, quotes, and paraphrases that you may find useful as well. In addition to that, I do have lots of resources in our MLA folder. We've got a recorded lecture on how to format an MLA. So if you lost points on Project 1 and that, make sure you do this for Project 2. Hang on just a minute, honey. And then you may want to consider watching the recorded lecture on grammar, sentences, and clauses. This will help you a lot with commas. So if you're not feeling confident about your comma usage, please consider watching this. It's a very helpful video that talks about the 4 basic sentence structures in the English language and how commas function within those 4 structures. So take a look at that if you wish. Lots of great resources for us. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these ideas come together for you. I'm working on giving you that feedback on Project 1. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out. I'm here to help.